This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got with the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome one and welcome all to SimSpeed TV this Tuesday night. Pro Truck Showdown has been going on for a bit now, and we are here for the third round of the third season. We've already seen two great rounds at Daytona and the Classic Grand Prix layout of Silverstone, and now we go to a classic Australian circuit, Phillip Island off the coast of Victoria. This is a beautiful circuit that has a lot of history to it. It's a place that has lots of flow, many fast corners, and quite a few places to send one up the inside, especially in these Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 2 trucks. I'm Reese Gardner, and Nick Skariev joining me in the commentary box tonight. Nick, time again for Pro Trucks at a classic Australian circuit.
Yeah, it's exactly right there, Reese. Just zooming in on the map now in Victoria, where and Phillip Island, where I did live there at one stage. Just there off the Bass Strait there, as you can see, we're zooming in there. So quite often you get that really big headwind on the straights, especially with these Pro 2 trucks being so built like a brick. So potential some really drafting opportunities there.
Yes, indeed. And of course, there is the historic layout of the Phillip Island circuit. It's simple, it's fast, it's flowing. It was built to be one of the premier circuits in Australia, and it certainly held that title ever since for the 50, 60 or so years it has been around. And we're currently in qualifying at the moment for Pro Truck Showdown Round 3. But looking at the championship standings from the previous two rounds, it is Brenton Hobson who has emerged as the top driver in this series this season, the man to beat. And Glenn Postlethwaite, his teammate at Synergy Sim Racing, helping the charge as well. No wins for Postlethwaite, but remaining second in the championship, while Mitch Mccloud and Justin Howe snatching a win each to complete the top four. And certainly looks like some pretty close standings there up the front. It could go either way after tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Glenn Postlethwaite really showing that consistency is key. So just looking at some of the practice times, he's a little bit further down the order there. Would be great to see his first win though tonight.
It certainly would, and Ryan Jones there completing the top 5. He's going to be fighting hard with Ben Snell to try and keep that going. Both Jones and Snell in the server tonight, and Daniel Stevens down there in 12th. He showed some good pace in practice, so I'm hoping that tonight is going to bring a good points haul for him and shake things up in the lower reaches of the top 10. Drivers like Sam Devantier and Dwayne Priest are going to want some better luck from the previous two rounds. Hopefully Phillip Island smiles upon them. So the drivers have yet to complete their first laps here in qualifying, but we have the majority of drivers out on track right now. Devantier puts in the first fast time, and he's immediately beaten by Lockie Dalton, a 1 minute 48.3 for him. And there goes Glenn Postlethwaite to the top of the standings, 1 minute 47.741 for him. The times coming down and down. Hobson, the fastest in practice, a 47.419. And he's just set a 47.8 for his sole qualifying lap, so not quite reaching the heights that he would have wanted from that practice session. What about Phillip Howe? Admin Justin Howe's father puts himself into P6, not bad at all. And we should highlight that there's going to be a bit less of a loss for drivers if they don't qualify well. There's a smaller field tonight. There's 22 drivers that have showed up here as Mitchell Mccloud sets a 1 minute 48.4, putting himself P5. He would have wanted a couple more positions out of that. He has got Ben Snell and Lockie Dalton ahead of him. And there is Hayden Veld looking to stake his claim on this circuit. Down into MG, really get a sense for the weight transfer of these things. That high center of gravity makes them very difficult to wheel around a track like this.
Yeah, you can really see that bump steer playing into effect as it kind of lurches around. You can see it coming through the that last corner, really big sweeping, leaning right out to the side, trying not to slide it out too much as Hayden Veld's going to come across the line. Postlethwaite still just holding up Brenton Hobson at the moment there, so 149.3, so really fair way down the order there for Hayden Veld.
Yes, and finishing the lap in style on his roof. What about the number 42 of Sam Stride? He doesn't have much time left to set his time, only 20 seconds left. And once that clock hits 0, they immediately move forward. I think Stridey's going to have enough time to complete this lap in the number 42, but it's going to be very tight. Let's see how quick he ends up being. 47, 48, and 1 minute 49 as he crosses the line, and that's going to be P15 for Sam. And he would have certainly been hoping for a bit better than that. He's shown his worth in and around the top 10, sometimes top 5 in this series. So he'll want to try and advance as best he can. Here are the qualifying results then. This is how they're going to line up for the first race of the night. 5 laps. It's Postlethwaite and Hobson on the front row. Lockie Dalton, Ben Snell on row 2, Macleod and Devantier on row 3, with Phillip Howe and Daniel Stevens completing the top 8. Top 10 rounded out by Ryan Jones and Gregory Favell.
Yeah, just missing out on that top 10 there. Simon Mazzomo and Hayden Veld there on row 6, Damien Westbrook and Brian Trezzi on row 7, Sam Stride and Ricciardo Morganti, Aaron Russell, Jaden Russell, both the Russells there on row 9, Gary Wellman and Justin Howe on row 10.
And the field's going to be rounded out by Dwayne Priest and Jonathan Hancock on the 11th and final row. Looking forward to seeing how the start goes here, because it's a varying elevation change on the front straight. You can just see it up there at the top of the screen, the fall into turn 1. This track runs by the cliffside, and if you look closely enough in the sea out to the south of the track, you might be able to spot a yacht with Steve Myers and Dale Earnhardt Jr. having a celebratory drink. But the front straight there, Phillip Island, a bit of a rise and then a fall into the first turn, and it's a very fast turn 1 into Doohan Corner. And certainly an overtaking opportunity in these things, but with 22 trucks heading down to turn 1, it's going to be very tight quarters, and they've got a lovely expansive runoff area to work with there too. They're going to have to be careful though if they get into that runoff area, because turn 2 loops right back around at the southern loop, and you might stand a chance of entering the track at quite a rate of speed and at right angles to people on the racing line, and that could certainly cause a massive incident. We'll see how it goes though. It's the front row lockout once again for Synergy Sim Racing as the revs rise and we get ready to go for round 3 of the Pro Truck Showdown Season 3. Green flag flies and away we go. Lockie Dalton was a little bit slow on the uptake on that start, but Postlethwaite's covered off Hobson very nicely. Ben Snell managing to get the run there on Lockie Dalton. Phillip Howe has got everyone behind him there. He's formed a bit of a cork in the bottle as they go into turn 1. Everyone keeping it nice and clean so far. Oh, and just as I say that, there was contact in the midfield. Simon Mazzomo almost getting sandwiched between Gregory Favell and Damien Westbrook. Round southern loop they go. Westbrook's been shuffled wide massively, and he's going to lose a couple more positions out of that one. The biff and barge begins then, coming through turn 3, Stoner Corner. This is an actual corner in these things. Posy and Hobbo up to the hairpin at Honda, and moving to the inside goes Ben Snell, trying his best to slow it up, and it hasn't worked for Sam Devantier, joined by Hayden Veld in the runoff area. It looked like Devantier just rip-rolled that thing. He tried to turn it in, and the thing just went over.
Yeah, we're expecting a lot of action there in Honda Corner. Big braking zone. Very unfortunate there, but Posy with a really good lead out to the moment. Almost looks to be about a second or so there to the rest of the field. And that would be a great idea in this race. You really want to be sticking clear there with Hobbo just someone on his tail at the moment. I've just had, just in the background there, we've just had a few more cars go off there as they come down Licky Heights.
Yeah, it's a very frenetic first lap as usual in this series. Macleod getting a little bit of a tap from Phillip Howe. Daniel Stevens trying to capitalise. You see Phillip Howe there in the orange truck. He yields to Daniel Stevens coming out of the second last corner, and Gregory Favell sees the opportunity, goes right up at the inside, and that is 7th place there for Gregory Favell. Now, for Mitchell Mccloud, up at the front of this train, he's got Lockie Dalton there just ahead of him, and the draft is going to come into play as they cross the line to start lap 2. And it's not as close as he would like. He's going to have to work this through over the next few laps if he wants those positions. For second, though, Hobson and Snell pressuring each other very hard going into the southern loop. And we see them there. Snell's going to have to nail this exit if he wants a run at Hobson into Honda corner. And he's going to get a slight bit of a draft here, but not quite enough to get the momentum he needs to swing it up the inside. You see Hobbo just positioning it in the middle of the track as they exit the turn. There's going to be some big defensive moves into that corner, I reckon.
Yeah, you can see so much bucking and weaving there from these Pro Light trucks. So hard on the brakes as we just see him sweep through there, Siberia. You can see them just feeding in that power. Try not to get too sideways coming out of Siberia, and you can see them really squatting out of that corner there.
Well, it's only taken a lap for Brenton Hobson to start closing the gap to his teammate once again. Snell just behind the two Synergy trucks here, coming up through Lukey Heights, a very challenging corner. There's a crest right in the middle of it, and you've got to be careful not to go too wide because it will mess up your braking zone for MG right here. And the top three now together. This is going to be a very closely fought fight. And we're going to approach half race distance, halfway around the next lap. Let's see if there are any moves coming into turn 1.
Yeah, we've seen actually a few passes. You can see really with these light trucks that people creating passing opportunities where you normally wouldn't see in like touring car racing and some of the open wheelers coming there through that really fast swung corner as they come through for the next lap. Oh, Hobbo putting the move there down the inside there, so into Doohan corner, just pushing Postlethwaite that little bit wide, but Postlethwaite there just standing his ground as they come through the southern loop.
Yeah, positioned himself really nicely. Hobson doesn't have any space to get up the inside of his teammate there, and Ben Snell will want to try and take advantage of that. He knows now that the two Synergy teammates are together. We look a bit further back in the field at the pack behind Phillip Howe as the Synergy cars go side by side into Honda, and oh no, Hobson's overcooked it. That has allowed Ben Snell right on by, and Hobson taking a trip into the gravel trap as a result of that. Hasn't slowed him up much though. A little bit of contact with Snell in Siberia. Hobson does not want to let second place go here, and there goes Snell off the circuit, struggling for traction, and they're going to go side by side through Hayshed, which is a bit of a tough job in any machine, but certainly in these things it looks like Brenton Hobson, big brave move there, managing to protect second place from Ben Snell. They've got to be wary, though, because Mitchell Mccloud has gotten by Lockie Dalton on this lap, and he is starting to advance on them. He's only just behind them.
Yeah, really heading up here at the front. Very lucky for Hobson, too, not to knock it into the grass there, going through Honda. Just, I reckon, took it all the way to the white line there when he overcooking it. So, super lucky to keep himself in contention there. He's going to be still positioned really well for a potential win.
And we're going to check out a virtual racing school replay of something that happened to Gary Wellman just before. We're riding on board with him. And what's going on here? It looks like this is coming up Lukey Heights. And, oh, did he get a bit of contact? No, that's at Southern Loop. Did he get a bit of contact there from the side? But no, looks like he did it all by himself there, did Gary Wellman. And that's going to be a retirement from race 1 for him. No points this time round. Well, looking for the big points up at the front. Hobson starting to get a run here on Postlethwaite coming into Honda. He's going to have the outside. Posy protecting the middle of the circuit, and Snell gives them both a big whack in the rear there. Bit of a concertina between the three of them, and we're starting to form a top 5 train here as we have a look at Sam Stride making his way past Phillip Howe. A little bit of biff and barge in the middle of the hairpin. Oh no, Riccardo Morganti has not slowed that thing up well, but hang on, he's just slowed it up enough to avoid collecting Hayden Veld there. So good stuff there from Riccardo as we check out Sam Stride going for the 051 of Simon Mazzomo. Mazzomo, of course, racing for Torque Inc. now. in this series, having that livery, but Stridey not able to find a way past. Even for the minor positions, they've got plenty to fight for here, but that top 5 train up at the front is something special. We're looking on board from Lockie Dalton's perspective, coming down onto the front straight. Bit of a tap of the brakes there for Lockie Dalton just to transfer the weight onto the front tyres. The draft is there for Brenton Hobson, and they're going to go side by side into turn 1. Ben Snell having a big run of momentum there as well on the run into the corner. Hobson backs out of it just a little bit earlier than Postlethwaite, tries to maintain the side-by-side action, but oh, careful guys, don't come together. First rule, don't hit your teammate. It looks like that's worked out all right for them. Hobson keeps second, but now Snell and Macleod together. That concertinaed them into each other, and a little bit of rear quarter contact for Mitchell Mccloud, nearly sending him around. And Lockie Dalton smells blood here. He will pass Snell now.
Yeah, things are really starting to hit up here on the final lap, so we can see Hobson on the outside, Postlethwaite again, standing it right in the middle of the circuit. Oh,
they've all come together. They've all come together right there. Macleod, Snell, Hobson, they all made big contact in the hairpin there, and that has promoted Lockie Dalton to the lead of the race on the final lap. That's pretty substantial. Big change there at the front of the field. Can Glenn Postlethwaite still take this, though? He's right there, and Hobbo struggling to find some grip there as Daniel Stevens has to yield just behind. Pozzie's only going to have one more chance here, coming down into MG if he wants to put a move on Lockie Dalton, but this could be a sensational first win for Lockie in this season. He keeps it nice and tight around MG, blocks off the advance. Macleod has third place safe there from Brenton Hobson. A huge coming together then at the hairpin on the final lap, promoting Lockie Dalton to take a very popular win, I'd imagine. He's been waiting a while for something like this as Lockie. And the draft is going to come into play for Glenn Postlethwaite, but it's not going to be enough. Across the line, Lockie Dalton goes to take the win. Pozzie and Macleod completing the podium there. What a finish.
Yeah, what a great result there by Lockie Dalton, being in the right place at the right time. You'd almost think that Pozzie had a shoe in there for the race win for that, but unfortunately, yeah, just that contact there at Honda hairpin has elevated Dalton onto that top step.
Certainly has. I'm just taking another look at that incident from my end now. It looks to me that Macleod went in quite hard there and tapped Hobson in the back, and that was part of what caused that incident to happen between those drivers. But we move immediately on into the second race of the night. This is going to be a 7-lapper, and of course the results carry over to the grid, so it's going to be Dalton and Postlethwaite on the front row, followed by Macleod and Hobson. Stevens completing the top 5 there. He's got a top 5 start for this race. Ben Snell is going to want to improve his results, with Gregory Favell, Ryan Jones, Justin Howe, and Phillip Howe rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, we saw some pretty big racing there for that top 10. So Sam Stride, unfortunately, not making the top 10 there in 11th. Simon Mazzomo sitting pretty well. Damien Restbrook, Brian Therese, Sam Devantier, Hayden Veld, Aidan Russell, Riccardo Morgianti, Gary Wellman, and Dwayne Priest rounding out the top 20.
And unfortunately, Jaden Russell and Jonathan Hancock not taking to the start. The revs are rising and we're about to go again for race 2. Oh no, Lockie Dalton jumping the start there. I'm wondering if that's going to be a penalty for him. That's very unfortunate, and he's completely messed up the launch. And that means Macleod, possibly Hobson, are going to get by him into turn 1. Postlethwaite back into the lead then. There's a bit of contact between Macleod and Hobson. Dalton tries to find a spot. Oh, big contact for Hobbo. Side by side with Daniel Stevens. They are cluttered into this first turn. And oh no, just getting sent straight off the circuit. Justin Howe there into the grass at turn 1. He rejoins at the very back of the field. And oh no, Hobson has gone off on the exit of Southern Loop as well. Oh dear, knocked Daniel Stevens into a slide. This could get messy up at the hairpin. Let's see if they manage to sort themselves out. Hobson gets on the brakes, tries desperately to find a space, but he turns Stevens around, and Ryan Jones coming together with Gregory Favell in the hairpin as well. Massive.
I think that's also Sam Stride again on his roof on the first lap there in Honda. So very unfortunate there, but seeing Phillip Howe almost, I think, every quarter of the last race and this race, he's into the side of someone. Daniel Stevens, though, the big winner out of all that, I think he's elevated up to about 5th place or so. So Stevens having a much better luck, but talk about Lockie Dalton, it gives and it takes. So coming away from that win in that first race, and now I think he's all the way down somewhere in the top 10.
Yeah, looks like that is... Whoa, big mess up there. Everyone coming together in MG. Simon Mazzomo had to back out of that move on Phillip Howe there after making slight contact with Brenton Hobson. And Hobbo has fallen back into P7. He's got Daniel Stevens just up ahead of him there in P6. So let's see what Simon Mazzomo can do here versus Phillip Howe. See some big oversteer from Damian Westbrook on the exit of the final turn. And side by side they go, making contact as well, wheel to wheel between Mazzomo and Howe. They're coming up to the turn-in point, and Mazzomo, a bit more aggressive there, swipes across the front of Phillip Howe to take the position, but Howe's left himself open to an attack here from Sam Stride, and Stridey forcing his way up the inside there, making contact with Howe, 2 wheels in the grass, but managing to get the move done, but he gets a little bit of a serve back there as Damian Westbrook tries to find his way through this mess.
Yeah, Sam Stride on a real ripper of a race here that we're finding in this one. He did start 11th there, so all the way up in the 8th, so bit of a mover and shaker there as they all come into Honda again, getting through cleanly. I think there was a few hip checks here and there, but no big incidents here on lap 2.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. Everyone's calmed down a bit after those lap 1 shenanigans. It looks like the top 4 have well and truly broken away from the rest of the field now. It's Postlethwaite, McLeod, Snell and Dalton, your top 3 right now, and they're coming up to Lukey Heights. Daniel Stevens, meanwhile, up into P5, and it looks like Brenton Hobson will be making a move on him pretty soon here, trying round the outside at MG, goes in a little bit too hard. Daniel Stevens has to take a little bit of avoiding action there, but remains in that 5th place.
Yeah, you can imagine Hobson trying to get back onto that top 4 train at the front there, so Stevens just not holding that pace there at the moment of Posey, McLeod, Snell and Dalton, so you can imagine being in Hobbo's shoes there. He'll want to get around there pretty quick.
Certainly will. Here's Sam Devantier looking to make a move on Brian Traziz coming into the first turn. He's got the draft, he's got the momentum up to the B pillar as they come to the braking point, but Traziz a bit more aggressive there, unfortunately running wide and almost getting into the grass, so quite an easy move there ultimately for Sam Devantier. And he is going to have a great look into this battle between Phillip and Justin Howe, the father and son. Meanwhile, Daniel Stevens has lost 5th place to Brenton Hobson, the 88 on a charge, as the 2 Howes, I notice, almost setting up a move into the hairpin. Big bump draft there for Daniel Stevens on Brenton Hobson. Nearly sends him wide in MG, and no wonder. Have a look at the pack behind. He's got Simon Mazzomo for very close company here. And have a look at Sam Stride. He's going to try to go around the outside of Siberia.
Fortunate for, I think that was Westbrook, into the side there of Sam Stride. So much biffing and barging here for these minor places. We're seeing the top 4 staying relatively the same at the moment, but I reckon we're going to see Stevens swallowed up of the likes of Mazzomo and Stride because they're coming in thick and fast.
Yeah, certainly are. We'll wait and see how it works out as we check out the VRS replay. This is going to be the move that Brenton Hobson made to get past Daniel Stevens, and it looks like it happened in the opening corners of the circuit, down at turn 1, up to the inside in the Dewan corner, and giving each other maybe not all the space that they were entitled to, but they managed to keep going, and Hobson slotting in ahead, and he's certainly wasting no time trying to catch back up. And are those two trucks locked together there? The 2 Howes on the right-hand side of the screen. They were kind of latched together there. It looks like they've managed to separate themselves now, but it's all going on behind there. As Hayden Veldon, my goodness, the 77 of Brian Traziz straight off at Dewan, turn 1. And if my goodness me, I just don't know how to keep track of what's going on here, because everywhere you look, it seems there's another little puff of dust when someone's gone off the track. Looks like Simon Mazzomo will help us find our bearings here. Can he get past Daniel Stevens at Honda Corner? Well, Stevens going defensive. Mazzomo very aggressive on the brakes. He's going to try and go for the late apex here and set up a move into Siberia. Maybe try and set up a move into Lukey Heights a bit further down the road. But Mazzomo crucially has the space that he needs over Stride, and if he and Westbrook come together again, that'll certainly be an advantage again. Mitch Mccloud, meanwhile, moving up into second place as Ben Snell has to yield there. Let's see what Mccloud can do. Certainly knows how to win races in this championship, but will he be able to come up against the might of Glenn Postlethwaite, who has been the star of the show today?
Yeah, so sitting about a second back here at the moment, but when you think about it, so many more laps to go still for this middle race. Oh, I'm so sorry, just caught off camera. It's just passing and action everywhere. It's a bit hard to focus on what's going on there, but we're seeing, I think that's Hayden Veld there in the middle of Phillip Howard and Aidan Russell, and we've seen these three just absolutely getting the shoulders out on every corner of almost every lap so far. But we're seeing Snell back there again against Mitch Mccloud there, so he's managed to get through there just on the front. You can just see in that smaller box there. Oh, I think that might have been Hayden Veld there taking the scenic route down the main straight. I haven't seen too much of that before.
Yeah, certainly. Fighting hard with Phillip Howe there and giving him a good bump in the southern loop and barging his way past. There's a fair few scratches on that thing now, and Aaron Russell had to check up there as Howe tried to recover. So both of them have lost a bit more time now. Mitchell Mccloud and Ben Snell, though, they continue to fight for second places. There goes Simon Mazzomo up the inside of Daniel Stevens, and Sam Stride defending from Damien Westbrook. That is the move completed for Simon, and oh no, Aaron Russell and Phillip Howe have come together just behind them at the very same corner. So the endless fighting, the biff and barge continues, and oh no, Phillip Howe has gone right into the side of Aaron Russell and almost smashed him off the circuit. That's given 2 free positions to Ryan Jones. We look at that in the bottom right corner. There is Jones there up ahead of Howe. Oh dear, Ben Snell once again right in the draft there of Mitchell Mccloud. And down into this turn goes Mazzomo, Stevens, Stride and Westbrook. All of these guys fighting for the last position in the top 5. Meanwhile, Lockie Dalton has dropped out of this session. It seems that might be a technical issue for Lockie. Either that or he's being disqualified if he got a penalty for jumping the start.
Yeah, very unfortunate news there for Lockie Dalton. Was showing some really great pace. But unfortunately, and looking a little bit further down the field, we can see Ben Snell and Mitch Mccloud, despite all that fighting, they're actually gaining there on Glenn Postlethwaite. So I think that's Mazzomo there.
Oh my goodness, Daniel Stevens really drew the short straw there. 2 trucks coming together, and then he got knocked right off the circuit. He's lost something like 4 positions there. Sam Stride will smell blood here and want to make the move on Simon Mazzomo. Please get me away from Damien Westbrook, who has been tormenting me for the last few laps. If he can put a truck in between himself and Westbrook, he might stand a chance here. Oh, it's going to be close quarters coming into Honda. Westbrook, a very aggressive entry. He gets up the inside of Sam Stride. Let's see which one of them yields, if any. Justin Howe now right in the midst of all of this too. Stride and Westbrook together again. They clatter each other through Siberia 1, 2, 3 times. And there goes Justin Howe up the inside of Stride on the exit. They're going to go side by side through Hayshed. I mean, this is frenetic. I have nothing more to say. I mean, 2 trucks off. Goodness me, calm it down, guys. Stevens into the back of Westbrook through Siberia.
Yeah, one of the lucky ones there, Mazzomo, putting a bit of a gap here. He doesn't want to be part of this whatsoever there. Oh, we're just seeing Hayden Veld again getting tapped there through, coming out of Lukey Heights and around the back of MG there. Massive slide there by Westbrook. I think they're going to end up going 2 by 2 the entire of next lap again here. It's so much close racing here at Phillip Island tonight.
There is, and we just saw the replay there in the bottom right of what happened between those drivers at the start of the first lap. For the lead, though, Ben Snell challenging Glenn Postlethwaite into turn 1. He's really switched it on in the last couple of laps, has Ben Snell in the 1-4-1. Howe, Stride, and Westbrook all together in turn 1-2. Can Stride put himself up the inside for Southern Loop? Well, Justin Howe's not going to give him the space to do that, and he's still going to have to defend there from Damien Westbrook. There's the leaders down in the bottom right. Ben Snell is going to try around the outside of Glenn Postlethwaite into Honda. Posy going defensive. How aggressive is Snell into the hairpin? He has overcooked it there, and he's going to have to yield the position once again. And Mitch Mccloud will see that and think, well, second place not too far away from me again. This is the final lap, by the way, so everyone's fighting for these final positions as Justin Howe makes it to the front of this train. And there we go, Westbrook and Stride together again, and Daniel Stevens has been caught up in that. He has been flipped right over. Going to lose a few more positions out of that one. A couple more sausage rolls on the side of Daniel Stevens' car. But Justin Howe has escaped all of that. Westbrook now has Devantier in between himself and Stride, and Hayden Veld has been steadily working his way up this field. But up the front, Glenn Postlethwaite has managed to do everything possible to fend off the likes of Snell and Macleod. He has succeeded, and it's going to be the first win of the night there for Glenn. Lockie Dalton went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, and Glenn Postlethwaite is here to pick up the pieces. So that's the win for Posy. Another one on the board for Synergy Sim Racing. Snell takes second and Macleod in third. Brenton Hobson managing to recover to finish in fourth place. So another good haul of championship points for him. Who's going to win this drag race? Oh, Westbrook beating Devantier by a whisker.
Yeah, you'd have to say one of the big winners in all this. Mazomo there all the way up into fifth place. So making the most of that carnage that we saw through the middle there. So such close racing there, Reese.
Absolutely, and well done to Simon Mazomo for advancing as far as he did. Westbrook, Devantier, and Veld all started outside the top 10 as well, and they managed to make it inside there right at the end. So now we go to our results, and pretty far gaps out at the front, but once you start getting past the top 5, you really see how close those gaps were. Devantier, Westbrook, and Stride only covered by 0.3 of a second, and Hayden Veld wasn't that much far behind either.
Yeah, so just missing out on that top 10. Ryan Jones had some really good pace. Unfortunately, got caught up in a few incidents. Same could be said for the entire field, but as well for Phillip Howe, who was up a little bit further. Daniel Stevens also lost out a little bit. Aaron Russell, not too bad there in 14th. Brian Trees, we saw he had a pretty big incident. Riccardo Morgianti, last there on the lead lap. Unfortunately for Gregory Favell, Lockie Dalton, Gary Wellman, and Dwayne Priest, all off that lead lap.
Yeah, Wellman and Priest did not start. Neither did Jaden Russell or Jonathan Hancock. Before we go on our break here on SimSpeed TV, we're going to check in with the Virtual Racing School replay one more time. And this is going to be what happened to Brenton Hobson on the first lap. Goes for the move, but this is race 1 actually. The last lap of race 1, and it was Mitchell Mccloud actually got tacked into the 2 Synergy trucks there. I think it was Snell that helped to cause that. Yeah,
it was actually again, I think a little bit of luck has gone his way there of falling into the back of other trucks there throughout Honda, but yeah, we could see Snell kind of started that chain reaction with that rear contact.
Certainly did, and that was what helped Lockie Dalton to make his way through. You see Dalton there, he was just minding his own business, and immediately into the lead he goes when the top 3 go off at Honda. Well, we'll see what race control has to say about that at the end of the night, but we are in the warm-up session, the expression session, some like to say, We're going to go on a quick break here on SimSpeed TV, but we will be back for the final race of the night. It's a 9-lapper coming up here at Phillip Island. You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown, presented by Scumander Coffee Mug and Hot Toddy's Heating Installs.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown, Season 3, Round 3 from Phillip Island here on SimSpeed TV. If you're just joining us, I'm Rhys Gardner and Nick Skariev is in the commentary box with me. Tonight, we've seen two fantastic races here to start off the night at Phillip Island, and Glenn Postlethwaite and Lockie Dalton were the ones to come off best in the previous races so far. But Nick, now the session is over and we're going to get going for the final race of the night. This one is going to be especially hotly contested. We got Glenn Postlethwaite and Ben Snell on the front row. Very hard fought.
Yeah, seeing those synergy cars have been so quick there. I just been a little bit unfortunate there for Brenton Hobson. He's been knocked. Always seems to be around that first lap there. And he's shown so much strong pace. Possibly might be a bit of a dark horse for this feature race.
And we'll see what Hobbo 88 can do. The way they're lining up on the grid is the exact same way that they finished in the previous race. Postlethwaite, Snell, Macleod, Hobson, Mazzomo, Howe, Westbrook, Devantia, Stride, and Veld. Your top 10 here tonight. And only 23 seconds left until the gridding time is over. We can finally get going. There's a lot of space here on the grid at Phillip Island for someone who messes up to be able to get some space, but we'll see how it all works out for them. That's interesting to see that Mitch Mccloud has either left it very late to take the grid, or now that the time is at 0, he's not taking to the grid at all. That is going to be a big mistake there for Mitch Mccloud, and everyone will be left to pick up the pieces as we go green and we are away. It's an alright start there from Glenn Postlethwaite. Same from Snell. Hobson immediately moving over to the inside run for turn 1 to try and protect from Mazzomo, Howe, Westbrook, Devantia, Stride and Veld all together coming into the first turn. Howe goes around the outside of Westbrook there as Mazzomo goes off the track in the first turn on the run up to Southern Loop, manages to slow it up and get it back onto the racing line. It's Sam Stride trying to capitalise, ultimately going off the circuit as there's contact between Westbrook and Howe, and Mazzomo works his way back through there, back up into 5th place for Simon Mazzomo. Could he make it 4th? The top 3 have completely left the field behind as Glenn Postlethwaite and Ben Snell side by side in the hairpin. And oh, there goes Damien Westbrook around us. There's a huge checkup in the hairpin. Massive again.
Yeah, we're seeing these top three really pull away there from Justin Howe, who's under a lot of pressure at the moment by Simon Somo, but we're just seeing so much action there. No one's flipped onto their roof that time through Honda, so slightly less carnage than what we've seen in the past there, but you see Postlethwaite already with Hobson there right on his rear bar.
And there's Mitch Mccloud. He's made his way out of the pits. I think he just missed the gridding period.
Yeah, possible technical or something's gone on there. So, yeah, Mitch Mccloud's definitely going to be in damage limitation there coming. He'll be almost half a lap down from everyone else, but with the amount of fighting that we're seeing through the middle of this field here, should be able to make up quite a bit of time there with the clear track.
Yeah, certainly should. Mitchell McLeod's one of the fastest drivers in these things. Oh, hello. That was quite the trip there from Justin Howe. He's completely lost momentum down the front straight and is going to allow Simon Mazzomo a look into turn one. Mazzomo moves out as the Synergy teammates side by side into turn one. Hobson then up into second place and leaving Ben Snell behind. And Justin Howe is protected from Simon Mazzomo coming into the southern loop himself. So that's the position sorted between the two of them for now. And oh no, that is the 99er Sam Devantia rolling over in the gravel trap. Not quite sure what happened to him. We'll obviously check that out in a bit as Ryan Jones working his way through behind his friend Hayden Veld. And Lockie Dalton, the winner of race one, looking for a bit of redemption here, but Jones going up the inside. See if he keeps it clean. Maybe a slight bit of contact between the two of them, but Jones completing the move there just about. No, he hasn't. There goes Hayden Veld up the inside once again into Siberia. Replay in at the bottom right. We're going to see what happened here.
I think that was actually Phillip Howe there on the side. There was a bit of contact. Phillip Howe losing momentum there on the straight. So Sam Devantia 3 from 3 rolling the car all 3 times in all 3 races. So unfortunately not being able to get back onto his wheels, and we'll have to pull out of that one.
Yeah, going sideways through the gravel trap, never a good idea in these things. The tyres just dig in and roll the thing over. So that's Devantia out of this one. Hobson then. Back into second place here, chasing down his teammate. Of course, Sam Devantia, on account of being teleported back to the pits, is scored in front of them at the moment, but there you go, the timing screen sorting itself out there. The leaders back where they belong, and the draft is very strong here for Brenton Hobson. And he goes for the move as the door is left open by his teammate. Can Posy maintain the momentum around the outside? Maybe just. He's got a bit of room on the inside into Southern Loop, and Hobson's overcooked it. He's going off the circuit, right rear in the grass. That's left the opportunity there for Ben Snell to go through on the run up to Honda. Let's see if Justin Howe can make something of this as well. Ben Snell completely off the track in Stoner.
Yeah, it shows how tight this racing here is. You could see that was only half a door open there for Ben Snell and already putting himself in there. Unfortunately, not being able to get the move done there through Honda. Coming through Siberia, now having to defend from Justin Howe there just in behind. But they're all going to slot in together here. Not forgetting this is a 9-lap race, so a little bit longer than what we've seen previously. So just caught off camera there. I think I'm going to say that a lot. I think I just saw a few cars off there. I think one of them again being Phillip Howe. So getting really strung out here for some of these minor places.
And Mitch Mccloud already making up positions there, making his way into 15th as the Synergy cars. Oh, Posy overcooked it into MG there. That's left the door open for Hobson on the outside, but that means Ben Snell's going to have a run at him potentially. They've got to be careful coming down the front straight here. There's been a lot of incidents down at turn one, and these guys certainly don't want to join them. Simon Mazzomo in 5th place, right on the back of all of this. He's just sitting there minding his own business, and if these guys come together, he could certainly capitalize. It's an early draft for Hobson, meanwhile, and he has got the outside run into turn one. If he can hold the position around the outside, it'll turn into the inside for turn two, and there they go, side by side once again. with Snell trying to defend from Justin Howe.
Yeah, you can see how strong that draft is down the straight. It's only a 3 kilometre northerly, but it catapulted Hobson almost, I think it might have been more than 5/10 of a second back all the way in front there. So really, it can really make it work for yourself.
Oh, there goes Posy off the circuit, and Ben Snell again with the deep entry into Honda corner. Slightly overcooks it once again, and Posy maintains the position there, protecting his teammate from the advances of the drivers behind. Bit of a longer final race, this one, so as you say, Nick, there is plenty of time for these guys to sort themselves out, but Simon Mazzomo there still sitting on the back, and Howe and Snell almost making contact coming into Hayshed, and that's a very dangerous part of the circuit to be at close quarters with another machine.
Yeah, and we're just seeing all the way from Ryan Jones all the way back there, Hayden Veld and Sam Stride really hard on each other as well there. We're just going to have a bit of a look there as well. I think that might have been Lockie Dalton there in 6th place, so great redemption drive there from Dalton, knowing that he did not make that second race, so made up a lot of time here in this feature.
Yeah, he started in 18th and is now up into P6. That's one of the greatest fight backs I've seen in this series after only 4 laps completed. There is the battle for the top 5 again. Justin Howe and Simon Mazzomo, they could come together on this lap. Meanwhile, Hayden Veld and Sam Stride are side by side on the front straight. Here is the view from Hayden Veld, and have a look at Gregory Favell right behind them, looking to take advantage. Let's see which of the grey trucks is braver. Veld shutting the door there on Stride, but then opening it immediately again. And Stride trying to stick his foot in there. And that's going to work for him. Gets on the throttle very nicely, and Hayden Veld suffering some understeer there. Off the circuit he goes, and that's going to be another couple positions lost. Daniel Stevens and Aaron Russell making their way past him as Brenton Hobson and Ben Snell now your top 2. Snell has gotten by Glenn Postlethwaite, and it looks like he's in danger of being passed here by Justin Howe and Simon Mazzomo, especially with the tap that Justin Howe just gave him in Siberia.
Yeah, very unlucky there for Hayden Veld. So I think he might have been 8th all the way down in the 12th, and he's got Phillip Howe, who we've seen throughout the night has been so hard on all the other trucks. So yeah, Veld is going to be under a lot of pressure there by Howe, as we're just looking back at the front here with Hobson just sitting about 5/10 away from Ben Snell. So Ben Snell's going to be close enough potentially to get that draft there on the straight and really line it up here.
Let's see how they go then. Coming around to the end of lap 5 of 9. Looks like Snell definitely has the space to build up some good momentum in the draft, but he's run slightly wide in the final turn, compromised his exit slightly. What of Glenn Postlethwaite, meanwhile, in the green truck just behind him? He's got Justin Howe creeping up in the draft. And it looks like there's going to be no moves into turn 1 this time round, but everything could change by the time they emerge from the end of Southern Loop. And there's Gregory Favell up at the front of this train. Daniel Stevens only 5/10 behind. Last couple positions in the top 10 as Sam Stride leaves the door open on the outside for Favell to try and make a move. But will Favell make it through? Just manages to avoid getting on the grass, and Daniel Stevens gives him a tap in the left rear. Stymies his momentum, and that could be a move then into Honda. The top 4, meanwhile, Posy and Snell side by side on the run up to Siberia, as there is Favell up the inside of Stevens. And will this be move completed? It looks like it. Just almost moving ahead of Daniel Stevens there. The door is open on the inside into Siberia. Stevens keeping it nice and clean here versus Favell. These guys are giving each other a good amount of space, which is something you don't see often in this series. As we check back in with the top 5 group, then Snell defending from Postlethwaite and Howe on the run up to MG. Howe just desperately trying to find any space that he can. And there we go. Stevens completes the move coming into Lukey Heights.
Yeah, class act there by Daniel Stevens, really getting that move done there on Gregory Favell. So seeing really start to heat up there in that top four, but we're going to stick with these guys down here at the moment. You can see Gregory Favell can really get that power down on there nice and early, but Daniel Stevens just a little bit stronger under the brakes there.
Yes, indeed. Lap 7 has begun, meanwhile, for our leaders, and you see the draft trains forming all throughout the field. More side-by-side running as Favell now tries to go back on Daniel Stevens in turn 1, but Stevens with the inside line. He's going to take advantage of that and keep the inside. No, he's not, apparently. It looks like Favell just slipping on by before they even got to the turn-in point for turn 2. So I think Stevens just compromising himself a bit there. Our leaders, meanwhile, Postlethwaite up the inside of Snell and very aggressive. He moves in front and blocks the door. Justin Howe, meanwhile, he suffered a couple of issues just behind them, went for a big old slide, and now Simon Mazzomo is right on the back of him, and that could be a sensational 4th place for Mazzomo here.
Yeah, Mazzomo really showing some late pace there. We know that he qualified a little bit further down the line, but he's been so strong here in the racing coming through, just catching up a little bit further down the line there as well between, it might have been Gregory Favell and Daniel Stevens again, so I think Favell back on Daniel Stevens a little bit further back.
Yeah, they're continuing to trade places. They're down in the field, but here up at the front, it is the Synergy 1-2 once again, and Synergy Sim Racing seems to be one of the only outfits putting in such a consistently good team effort in this series. They've been working together very nicely, have Hobson and Postlethwaite, as might not work out too well for Postlethwaite coming into turn 1. Ben Snell starting to look a bit hungrier as they've begun the penultimate lap. Fortunately for them, they've managed to leave Justin Howe and Simon Mazzomo behind, and they'll be fighting hard with each other and slowing each other up themselves. Lockie Dalton up into P6. Meanwhile, there's been no change of position for him, but Ryan Jones is starting to creep up on him. They're running pretty equal lap times as well as we check back in the field. Mitch Mccloud gaining another position and moving up into 14th. He's probably going to get 2 of them again soon, because Aaron Russell and Phillip Howe, who are 2 of the trucks that we've seen get the biffo on quite a bit in this one, they might come together themselves. Hobson and Postlethwaite again having to defend from Snell into Siberia.
Yeah, one truck in particular as well, with Lockie Dalton having quite a quiet run there into 6th place. He's almost out on his own a little bit, being about 6 or so seconds there behind Mazzomo, but being about a second and a half up the road there from Ryan Jones. So really shows that if you can keep your elbows clean, because we're just seeing, I think that might have been Phillip Howe there. I don't think I've seen Phillip Howe come through a corner cleanly the whole race there. He's always either in the side of someone else or ripping a big slide there. You can see that damage there to the outside of his Pro Light 2 truck. Oh, coming over Lukey Heights there for Val. Possibly lining up there for a bit of a attack there, but just slotting in there.
Yeah, Sam Stride overshooting MG on purpose to try and protect the inside through the penultimate turn, and that has worked out for him, but Favell right on the back of him coming down the straight, and there is Hobson and Postlethwaite side by side for the lead. Snell has to pick a driver to latch onto here, and he lifts off a bit early, lets the Synergy trucks sort themselves out just up ahead. Hobson goes for a bit of a slide as Postlethwaite makes his way round the outside of the exit of turn 1. And that's leading to turn 2. Can Snell nail the throttle and get the move done on Hobson here for second? Gets one wheel in the grass. And it looks like Hobson with an ever so slightly better run and sweeps across the front of Snell, coming through the very fast left-hander of Stoner. Here we go then. Don't come together, Synergy guys. If you tap each other, Snell is going to be right there with you. Justin Howe absolutely flinging it into the hairpin just behind. He's desperate to keep Simon Mazzomo behind him. It is the final lap, and Snell, running a bit wide in the first part of Siberia, might be trying to line up a late apex run here, and he'll be hoping that the Synergy teammates fight each other in these final few corners, and he might be able to slip through and take a surprise win. These guys still haven't sorted themselves out. further back in the field as, a bit of contact for Hobson on Postlethwaite. Just hits his teammate a little wide in the middle of Lukey Heights, side by side on the exit of the corner and slotting back in MG. Hobson could get the run here if he plays his cards right, but Snell is right there with him, and it looks like that's the best opportunity Snell had to take second, and he has absolutely risen to the occasion with just one corner to go. Hobson's going to try up the inside, gives him a good whack in the middle of the final turn, and it's going to be a drag race to the line for second place. But Glenn Postlethwaite is going to take his second win of the night and come away with the round win as a result. Between Hobson and Snell, it's barely anything. Snell just got it by 100th.
Yeah, what a race there for race 3. We were focusing there on the leaders as well. So much action down the field. We've seen quite a few incidents and quite a few people go off. We might be able to catch up. Vrs Replay here. I think that might have been between Hayden Veld, possibly Sam Stride as well there. Ryan Jones in the front of this pack.
Yeah, it looks like Gregory Favell is in the midst of that as well. My goodness, that is messy coming through the final turn. Veld got spun off there by Daniel Stevens. And there's going to be a few unhappy chappies there. Was that Lockie Dalton going for a run there? Oh, yeah, hang on a minute. Yeah, Lockie Dalton. Something happened to him coming out of the final couple corners. Was that contact with Jones? It looks like it was. He went for a big slide there and took the front off the truck by hitting the wall. He was in 6th place and he lost all of that. Ended up coming across the line in 12th.
Yeah, absolutely so close yet so far. That would have happened only almost a couple of hundred meters there from the start-finish line there. So kind of eat my own words there with Lockie Dalton having such a clean main race there and having that incident there like after the last corner on the straight coming onto the start finish line.
Yeah, that's weird. Some might say that was a bit of a brake check from Lockie Dalton coming through the final corner, or maybe Ryan Jones going for the aggressive move in the final couple of turns, but that's going to be sorted out after the race. Glenn Postlethwaite coming away with 2 race wins and the round victory. He'll be extremely happy with that. Brenton Hobson too, making it onto the podium. So, if anything, I think he'll either preserve his championship lead or it's going to be as tight between the Synergy teammates as it was out of round 1. There are your final results there. Just 100th of a second there for second place. I still can't believe that. Howe managed to defend from Mazomo. Another great drive for Simon. He's started top 5, finished top 5. Ryan Jones in 6th with Sam Stride, Daniel Stevens, Gregory Favell, and Mitch Mccloud rounding out the top 10. A great recovery for Mitch after starting from the pits.
Just outside the top 10, Aaron Russell there and Lockie Dalton. We saw Lockie coming from last to 6th and then down to 12th there on that incident there on the start-finish straight there. Phillip Howe, Damien Westbrook, Hayden Veld, Brian Trezise, Riccardo Morgianti, Sam Devantia, Gary Wellman, and Dwayne Priest there.
Yeah, and it's a shame there for Wellman and Priest. They've come away with no results to speak of here tonight, so absolutely no points, with Jaden Russell and Jonathan Hancock also neglecting to start all 3 races here tonight. But that's going to be the end of proceedings for tonight. Another great result for Synergy Sim Racing, and Ben Snell, I think, will certainly be happy to come away with 2 second places after finishing 6th in race 1. If you're interested in racing in this league, make sure to check out Pro Truck Showdown on Facebook. You'll be able to find all of the details there. Meanwhile, on SimSpeed TV, we're going to be preparing for a very big week. We've got an absolutely packed schedule. We've got Oceanic Dirt Sim Events Modifieds on Thursday. We've got Friday night V8 Scops supports, then the Majors Series, and then Virtual Racing School V8 Scops on Sunday. It's going to be an absolutely enormous week here on SimSpeed TV, and you'll be able to find out what the next track for this series is in just a few days' time. It's going to be as much of a surprise for us as it is for you. I'm Reese Gardner, Nick Skariev joining me in the commentary box, and Jay Kennedy making everything happen behind the scenes. Big thanks once again to Hot Toddy's Heating Installs and Scumander Coffee Mug for their support of this series. You've been watching the Pro Truck Showdown, Season 3, Round 3. Tonight was Postlethwaite's. Will he be able to maintain the momentum?
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got really outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?